Here we are, beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It's heading down to the beach. And before I left Tenerife in the Canary Islands, I planted a cover crop. Well, a variety of cover crops in the garden. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I prepared the soil, what cover crops I planted, and how I did it. And a little bit about why. Okay, here we have some mustard and some carrot, a little bit of beet, and we throw some oats into the mix as well. And you can't forget about our radish and everyone's favorite around here, the southern Sudan grass, and the phacelia little flower. And we also have some pea and sunflower. So let's begin by sifting my mix of worm castings, manure, and compost mix to top dress the beds. Now, I've never pretended to be a soil scientist. The more I find out about what's going on down there in the soil, I want to go back to university, or at least have a soil scientist as a close friend. It's quite amazing. So what is the purpose of a cover crop? Well, it's to renew soil health by adding organic matter to the soil, which improves the soil structure and builds fertility, and basically to feed the microorganisms that are living down there and helping our plants. The planting of cover crops also, basically protects the soil surface from UV rays if it's going to be left alone for a while, suppresses weeds, renews the soil health by adding essential organic matter to the soil, which improves the soil structure, and builds fertility. That's the idea. But it also stops erosion, increases the activity of earthworms and beneficial microorganisms, decreases compaction, improves water, root, and air penetration of soil. It's a real win-win. So here's our mix, and a variety of plants add biodiversity, So it also brings different root depths. And the roots, they exude sugars produced from the photosynthesis into the rhizosphere, which is the area where the roots meet the soil. And in turn, the sugars attract bacteria and microbes, and they thrive. And the bacterial waste is rich in essential bioavailable plant nutrients. So viruses, bacteria, and fungi are all microorganisms. So the mycorrhizal fungi form a symbiosis with the roots and are critical to improving nutrient availability. And they actually communicate with the roots, which is wild. A topic beyond me in the scope of this video. So I've left some links in the description if you want to explore that a little more. So let's just top this off with some nice light mulch. Give it some water, and look at that. 4 days later, what do we have here? Okay, the importance of storing your seeds properly. Hello, look at this little fella. That's the professor you're hearing. He's pretty scared. Well, as you can see, we had a bunch of debris dropped off by the arborist, and we're using this as mulch. So I'm loading up a couple of wheelbarrows of this, take it down to my section of the garden and apply it onto the garden to maintain the humidity in the soil. So after about 30 or 40 trips, you have something like this. After sifting the manure, I found myself with wood chips like this. So I thought, what better place for those wood chips than in the pathways between my elevated rows in the garden. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a lot of work, and it took many, many, many hours. So I don't know if you have this much time, but if you do, it's really worth it. So let's water this in. give that micro activity a kickstart. Give it some oxygen, some air, some water, and let it do its thing. So I noticed that the mulching was starting to slide down the raised rows. So I'm going to be away for quite a while, so I thought I'd better get a little bit of extra help with these little cut pieces of cane that we have growing wild around here. If I was around, I would just rake them back up, but I'll be gone. Now that's looking good. So let's hope for the best. Okay, here it is, almost 2 months after I planted the first row with cover crops. Looking good. Hopefully it'll be looking good when I get back. And when I do, I'll be cutting them to the ground and eventually replanting. Thank you very much for watching. And any questions or suggestions are welcome in the comments. Let me know what you think and what you're doing with your cover crops, because this is just kind of a new thing for me and I'm pumped about it. Looking forward to learning more. Adios.